Buenas noches, bienvenidos a 9 países, 18 cineastas. Hemos crecido un poco, hemos reconocido que somos más de 8 países y hemos agregado algunos cineastas. Como ya saben, esta es una iniciativa de la Asociación Guatemalteca del Audiovisual y la Cinematografía y el Centro Cultural de España en Guatemala. Es la segunda actividad de esta naturaleza que hacemos juntos. La primera fue 14 días, 14 cineastas, donde 14 cineastas guatemaltecos hablaron durante 14 días consecutivos sobre su condición a un mes del cierre de la industria y del país en abril de este año. Estos foros virtuales se expanden hacia Centroamérica. Tenemos cineastas desde Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Belice, República Dominicana y Haití. Esta noche, otra vez, tenemos un conversatorio muy especial. En esta ocasión es especial porque tenemos a un cineasta que no había participado previamente y tenemos la despedida de otro. Además, son 2 cineastas, uno de Belice, quien es Javier Molina, y quisiera bienvenir a Javier. Para mientras leo un poco acerca de Javier. Hola Javier.
Hola, buenas noches. Thank you.
I love your background. We should all be doing that. Javier es instrumental en la formación de BAVIA, que es la Belize Audiovisual Industry Association, o sea, la Asociación Beliceña de la Industria Audiovisual. En el 2011 fue el presidente interino y ahora es el presidente en funciones. También fue vicepresidente de Cignes del Caribe, que es el Latin American and Caribbean Organization for Catholic Communication, o sea, la organización latinoamericana y caribeño de comunicación católica, Cignis, y ha sido miembro del jurado de Cignis en el Festival de La Habana, además de ser director de fotografía de 2 largometrajes en Belice. Bienvenido, Javier. Javier va a ser entrevistado por John, que participa por primera vez. John, bienvenido.
Buenas noches, Joaquín. Buenas noches, Javier.
Buenas noches, John. Es realmente un placer tenerte con nosotros. Hemos estado esperando los últimos 12 días para tenerte en el programa. Hubo un momento un poco tarde, pero ya estás aquí. John es un cineasta haitiano, repúblico dominicano, se podría decir.
Haitiano-dominicano.
Haitiano-dominicano. Comenzó su carrera como actor de teatro, es miembro fundador del grupo de teatro Organic y dio sus primeros pasos en el cine con películas como Viajeros, Ladrones a Homicidio, La Soga, Cuentas por Cobrar y Que Dios me perdone, también La Isla Rota. Tal vez el proyecto, digamos, con más éxito es Carpinteros, que en el 2017 ganó el premio Coral al mejor actor en el Festival de La Habana y el Festival Internacional de Guadalajara por su papel principal. También John es egresado de la ICTV, donde dirigió su primer largometraje documental, Si bon Dieu veut Julie, Si Dios quiere Julie, que es un largometraje documental muy lindo que yo vi sobre su mamá y sobre el tema de los haitianos en Dominicana, que se los recomiendo, que en algún momento ya nos va a decir dónde se puede ver. Además, ganó la residencia artística Regard sur Montreal, otorgado por el Consejo de las Artes de Montreal, y ahora actualmente codirige un programa de entrenamiento de actores en el INIS para la Diversidad Artística de Montreal. Es un currículum mucho más amplio y importante, pero por fines de empezar y salirme yo y dejarlos a ustedes, lo dejo ahí. Muchas gracias a ambos, realmente agradecidos por su presencia. Yo los dejo y los dejo a ustedes a su plática.
No, y gracias a ti, Javier, y a la Asociación Guatemalteca de la Industria Cinematográfica por este amable encuentro que es muy urgente y necesario en estos tiempos oscuros.
Gracias, Joan. Gracias.
All right, thank you.
Gracias.
Y va para afuera.
Okay.
Right.
Hi, Javier. I'm
Hey,
very,
hey.
very interested in know everything about you because you are you are a president of an association. I'm a part of an association of documentary in Dominican Republic too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and we will talk about that. But I will like to hear about your background.
Sure.
Yeah, ¿cómo terminas cayendo en el cine?
Okay. It starts really from a young age, I guess from the age of around 11, 12, when a very good friend of mine introduced me to something that I really hadn't seen before. It's a video camera, and it recorded on
Mm.
VCRs. So you held the camera up on your shoulder, and then you hung
Yeah.
the recorder on your side, and you put the tapes in there. So that was my first introduction. My first camera was VCR, and I was fascinated. I went around the neighborhood with it. I just started shooting, interviewing people, and
Like a hero.
yeah, exactly. So that was when I was very young, and I from that first introduction, I was very drawn to it, and I really fell in love um, with the screen, with the whole technology, the idea of being able to capture not just in pictures but moving and sound and having that there on that device. That fascinated me, and from there, it eventually it moved on to you know the newer technologies as they came out. And the person I'm talking about is was a Jesuit priest, and he was
Oh,
the main force behind my formation in this audiovisual industry world. So he was a photographer, and he really my mentor, and he taught me to use the dark room. I shot on film, and I had to go into the dark room and learn how to develop it.
that is a
Fascinated.
magic thing.
Yeah,
That is a magic
exactly.
thing. The black dark
Exactly.
room. Yeah, this is the place the magic had
Yeah.
formed.
Yeah. So I was very, very lucky because at the time, the high school I was at, again, because of him, there was a darkroom. There was a film club. I was too young to go attend. And eventually, when I did start going to the high school, I would spend hours in this dark room just playing with the chemicals and trying to get this thing developed, Um, it was, again, like you said, it was magical. It's a magical place. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. It no longer exists. But I enjoyed my early years, in that formation of the hands-on, of the dark room, of the chemicals, the smells, the films, the ISOs. It was, yeah, I really lucked out when I got introduced at that age.
And that's how you began to become to a DP.
Yeah, yeah, that's really and truly learning the camera, learning about lighting, learning about um, setting the mood and the scene and stuff like that. That it was from that age, and I grew with him. He kept teaching me as we moved on to digital. I ended up working with him. My first job right out of uh, even before I started working with him before because he ran a television station. So I was put in charge of running the TV station in here in Belize. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was incredible. I had experience with broadcasting, so I had to learn what what broadcasting was about. I had to learn about the antennas. I had to climb the tower and go and see where the antennas were and see my city from such a high level that I had never seen it before. And it's scary because the wind was blowing. Luckily, I had my harness on. But it opened the door to so much to me. And to this day, I'm very grateful for that.
Estupendo. Voy a hacer preguntas también en español, ya que estamos en
Sure.
ondas latinoamericanas, para hacer
Sure.
un poco Spanglish. Entonces, esta pregunta es, tú que eres un apasionado de la película, del cuarto oscuro, ¿cómo ha sido el impacto de la diferencia de pasar a la película a lo digital? ¿Cómo ha sido ese proceso allí en Belice? ¿Cómo ha sido el movimiento de cuando se filmaba en película, cuántas películas hacían, a diferencia de ahora que se hace en digital, cómo ha cambiado la cantidad?
Yeah. Okay. I must say there weren't many films done in Belize. The only exposure I got to working on film or on a set was when foreign companies came to Belize to shoot. My first introduction to actual film was, I think, in probably 2000 and I think it might have been 7 or 8. Can't remember now. But I had just come off a meeting with a friend of mine who happened to be the son of the film commissioner at the time. And so even back then, they realized that there is a huge industry in Belize in terms of location. There was a drive, a push to get companies to come to Belize to do productions. So there wasn't a huge film industry in Belize per se. I mean, I didn't see film cameras around here. Yeah, people had their small, like 8mm little cameras and stuff like that, but there's no place here that you could go and see a film that was shot in Belize. There was one that was shot called Dogs of War. Now that is like a classic for Belizeans. It was shot here in Belize. And then there's Mosquito Coast. So there were production that came to Belize. And that's how the local people were introduced, because they needed, whether it was an extra, whether it's somebody that just helped carry around a PA, stuff like that. And that's how I was introduced to that world. Outside of the television industry, I was introduced to film. And it was through companies that came to Belize. And it was, again, through my mentor, who was very good friends with the film commissioner at the time, and whose son worked as a locations manager, who called me on board and said, hey, look, there's a movie coming to Belize to film. And that, I think, was in, I don't know, 2008, 9. It was called After the Storm. And he brought me in early. He said, I'm going to go on a location scouting and I want you to come. So this was like the pre-stages of the production. So I went with him and he's like, okay, so this is what they need. They need pictures of everything, of these scenes. This is what they're looking for. And so I was happy. I was ecstatic to be going with him. And what was great is that my boss at the time allowed me, because he was paying me, but he was like, take the time off. This is what you like. This is what you're going to learn from. And, we can use it when you're finished. You come back and you help us. So he allowed me time to go out and work on these productions and to learn. So from the time we were doing location scouting, I was out with him. And I realized, wow, I get to travel a lot and they're paying me to do it. I get to go all over my country. I get to go to the islands. I get to go to the jungle. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, people get paid to do this. I was so amazed. And right from there, as the crew started coming in, he was like, okay, well, the location thing's done. I'll put you in the set design so you learn. So I was with these people who were really open and willing to teach you. It's like, yeah, this is what we do. We design a set. I saw a script. I had no idea what a script. I had never seen a script before in my life. I saw a script and a breakdown, and this is how it works. And I then realized that everybody kind of does a special job. Everybody has their own little clique, if you may say, in the different departments. And I was like, wow, man, this is amazing. And that's where I really fell in love with just film, because I knew about television and broadcasting, but this was a whole different ball game, man. These people, they really didn't mess around when it came to grabbing their shots and what they needed, and I learned a lot. It was 3 months that we shot that movie in Belize core, and I just soaked it in as much as I could in every department. I moved around from set design. I even spent a couple times in wardrobe, carrying around some of the
Wow.
clothing. And eventually, where I really wanted to be was in the camera department. So I was an intern in the camera department, and
Okay.
just being able to carry around the filter, the box of filters. It was pretty heavy. I did not realize filters were so heavy. I had to carry around
That
this
is a
box.
difference between a film and digital thing. Is very, very, is another.
It is. It is. I had no idea the things I learned doing that one movie in those 3 months were mind blowing. Then changing and dealing with the film, that I was amazed at how such a short period you can film for. These people spend a lot of time loading the film in this little tent with two hands, and so they
Wow,
had to
yeah.
put their hand in the tent to
Every
try and
time dangerous, it's like watching you because you can make a mistake, and
yes,
that's it. That's all. You miss all the film.
exactly,
No.
exactly. One slip up and everybody's job is screwed up. Oh man. But
Pues es un aprendizaje parecido al que tenemos en mi escuela, allá en la escuela de San Antonio de los Baños, en Cuba, donde resta el lema que el cine se aprende haciendo cine. Entonces, tú has tenido una escuela integral con buenos maestros que te han acompañado en todo tu proceso de aprendizaje.
right.
Pero háblame un poco entonces, ya para finalizar ese tema del background, la diferencia cualitativa a nivel de calidad de pasar del formato de película a digital en Belice. ¿Cómo ha sido contigo?
Now, okay, so of course we've never had that for us in terms of film, but doing the digital, when I started shooting on, well, we started really shooting on VHS and editing with the
Oh,
old
wow.
decks, at A and a B deck, and editing and setting in and out
But
point.
at the 80s? At the 80s or 90s?
90s. Exactly, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So I had to learn how to edit using in and out points and a control deck. So I'm really grateful for the experience, because I learned old school, and then eventually, as we were able to, graduated to nonlinear editing, where we brought our first digital camera, which was shooting on a mini DV tapes, and then getting our computer where we could dump the footage, as we used to call it, capture it, into the computer, and just the amazement of, wow, I don't have to set in and out points here to line up perfectly, and just being able to add simple things like a transition, it was, for me, it was mind-blowing. I To see how rapidly this industry has evolved over the years, and it's unfortunate that a lot of the younger kids will never experience that. Will never know how hard it is to edit on VHS decks and trying to get in and out points perfectly set. That's
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is. It is. And fighting with, once you move from that to the digital, fighting with drivers and fighting with computer crashes and getting the deck to sync up with your programming. Oh, it was looking back at it now, you can laugh at it, but at the time it was a nightmare trying to move from old school, from the linear editing to the non-linear editing. But it was
Yeah.
all a part of the growing process. It's all a part of learning the technology and growing with the technology and adapting to the new technologies. And I enjoyed every bit of it. Um, I do a little bit of it now during the COVID time because I, I started
Yeah.
doing transfers for people, tape transfers. So I have to find VHS tapes and VHS-C tapes and high 8 tapes, and people send them to me, and I transfer them and I put them in a digital format for them. So it's a little bit nostalgic having to go back to the
Oh
VHS
wow,
tapes.
yeah, the upgrading. You're working in the upgrading now. Oh,
Exactly.
that's we will talking about the COVID time, but before I would like to know how many film do you do at year before the
Right.
COVID
Right.
time, like
Um. I
2019, for
Yeah.
example? How many film did
Um.
you do at year in the industry, Belize film industry?
Yeah, well, for me personally, I probably do like once a month, at least once a month. There's a production coming. Sometimes it's twice a month. Sometimes it's for a couple days. Sometimes it's for a week, and it really varies. It could be anything from travel show. I've done a lot of shows here in Belize, working as a fixer, but
Uh-huh.
really and truly, the term fixer is a vague term because you do a lot. You do like location management. It's more like a production coordinator, really, because you have to do all the logistics for all the hotel, the travel arrangements, even dealing with getting the equipment and the people into the country and setting all that up. But then once they're here and once they realize that I know my way around the equipment, that I know how to handle, that they can say, "Oh, this guy doesn't just set stuff up; he knows production." And then they're free. They first in the beginning, some of them are very, they're not too open with these fancy, very expensive equipment. I don't blame them. There, some of the cameras that they come in are very highly expensive, and the equipment, the lenses and stuff. But once they realize this guy knows what he's doing, then they open up. Then I can start asking questions. Then I learn more, and most of the time when they come in, they're bringing the best of the equipment with them. So sometimes several a year, 4 or 5. Sometimes it really depends. It really depends. But we have several
Okay.
people that do that here in Belize, and it ranges again from travel shows to documentaries and TV programs. It's a lot, and from all over the world. We have people come here shooting. I don't know. I've worked with the people from Japan. I've worked with people from France, from Germany, from the U.S. Um,
Okay.
from even in Central America. I'm working on something right now that hopefully next month, if all goes well, we can do a production that's going to be from this region, from Guatemala, coming over into Belize to film. So it continues. It's it's something that
Yeah,
I enjoy
that
doing. I
was
love.
a question I would like to make you about your contribution with other Latin filmmaker. Do you work a lot with other countries in the region?
Um, let's ask that question again in Spanish so other people can understand too, especially them. I want them to understand that one.
Okay, go ahead.
No, okay. So la pregunta, ¿la puede hacer en español, porfa?
Sí, la pregunta en español es que a mí me interesaría mucho saber con cuáles países latinoamericanos tú colaboras más, ahora que vienes de mencionar tú, que vas a estar colaborando con Guatemala, pero con qué otros países de la región acostumbras trabajar.
Yeah. So I haven't done a lot recently in terms of working with other filmmakers in the Caribbean, both in the Caribbean and in Central America. For some reason, there has been a disconnect between Belize and the rest of Central America. I know that there's a lot more collaboration within the different countries in Central America, and even in the Caribbean. I know, and Belize has not really gotten to that point where we're collaborating. Um, this is one that I'm looking forward to. But through this medium, I want to be able to build that relationship, both personally and as an association, because there are many of us in this industry in Belize and from different backgrounds and doing many different levels of production and investing, trying to grow the industry. And we're all very happy and eager to work with our Central American counterparts. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak with you, to speak with our brothers in the Caribbean, and build that bridge, build that relationship, so we can start producing more. A lot of my time is spent working with people from other countries, but not from my region, from other places far away. But I think
Yeah.
we want to work with people that are next to us, our neighbors.
Absolutely, absolutely right. Estoy totalmente de acuerdo contigo porque sobre todo nosotros, este encuentro tan maravilloso que organiza Haga, y me parece que marca digamos, un precedente que nosotros debemos aprovechar y de seguir en contacto para buscar la manera como a través de nuestras asociaciones podemos de repente crear una confederación donde quepan todas nuestras asociaciones y que de alguna manera trabajemos desde una centralidad o desde, digamos, un colectivo consciente de la importancia de estar conectados, ¿no?
Definitely. That's one of the key things that I really enjoy about this whole experience here. Knowing faces, learning who is doing what in my area, in my backyard, and it's amazing that we hadn't thought of looking it up, of trying to find out, who's my neighbor and what are they doing in film, But I'm glad it has happened. It's better late than never, and the association is eager. We want to work. We want to start not just working on projects that come in all the time, but we want to start producing our own productions. We want to be able to work with each other to tell our stories and not just have other people coming in and then telling our stories for us. We want to start telling our own stories. Everybody, every country, every person has a story to tell. And it is important that we come together, work together. It's easier when you work. And I really love that little quote that you had there under your name. La unión. Read it. Oh, that was really good.
Yeah. La unión hace la fuerza. Yeah.
Exactly.
How you say that in English? The union make the strength.
Yes, there is unity in strength. Exactly. And that's what we've been trying to build here. It is very slowly, but working together. And that's one of the reasons why we put the association together, because we realized that everybody can have a piece of the pie. Everybody can find what it is they like, what is their passion. When you look at the credits at the end of a movie, it is huge, it is long. There is a space for everybody. Whether it's sound, the set design, the wardrobe, whatever it is, there's space there. That's a very long list at the end of the credits.
Yo particularmente creo que el mainstream hoy por hoy tiene escasez de contenido. Si tenía antes del COVID, ahora eso se multiplica ad infinitum, la escasez de contenido. Y nosotros como región, en la construcción de nuestra identidad, que todavía estamos en ese proceso de la construcción de nuestra identidad de la región, aparte de la parte de la producción, también nos hace falta la parte de la exhibición, ¿no? De compartir más nuestros trabajos, en la unión de esa posible federación, crear los espacios necesarios en cada comunidad para poder compartir tus películas que puedan llegar a mi comunidad a través de mi asociación, y que nosotros con nuestros cineforums entonces podemos hacer llegar estos trabajos de los compañeros de la región. En ese sentido, tú que formas parte de una asociación, ¿ustedes trabajan, tienen ese tipo imagino, que tendrán aspectos de formación, aspectos de realización, de creación de nuevos puestos de empleo, pero está también la parte de la exhibición y fomento de lo que se realiza, ¿no?
Yeah. So one of the things that we do here is we work in tandem or hand in hand with the Belize Film Festival. So
Yeah.
what that allows us is to exactly what you're saying is to see films from all over the region, from other countries all over the world, and during that time, during the festival, we work with the committee. I'm a part of the committee. I'm the technical coordinator for the film festival. So I'm in charge of making sure that all the theaters are set up, that the projection, that the audio, that the files, whether it's a DVD, a Blu-ray, DCP, whatever it is, that everything works technically. So it gives me a chance to see the movies for free before anybody sees them, so
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, so I get to watch a lot of the films, and I've been working with the festival for a while now.
It's a
So
privilege.
it really is. It really is. I enjoy sitting and watching productions, seeing other people's hard work, on the screen, and um, having them come, because sometimes during the festival, some people come, directors, actors, they would come to the festival, and you get to see these people, meet with them, talk to them, and I enjoy that. And so the association works with the film festival here, and we have workshops during the festival time where we teach, I mean, different things. Sometimes it's a whole production where people come together and they learn from beginning to end, so that at the end they have to have something to present, something concrete, so they go from script to screen during the workshop. And on our own as the association, we are currently in the process of putting together more like webinars with
Yeah.
people who are Belizean, who are in the industry, but not in Belize. They have the experience of working in the US, in the Hollywood setting, or in England, in Britain, and so they're working at different levels, at different productions, but they're open to teaching those of us here who still want to learn, the younger generation who are interested, who are seeing us. We have to let them know that yes, it's great. It's art, but it's a way of life. You can make a living off of this. There's huge income earning potential for the country, for the region. This film industry. So that's one of the things that we're going to be pushing as an association is, like you said, formation, getting workshops going, and building our capacity for our people and the people who are in the association and in the industry. It's definitely something we're working on.
Ok, sí, definitivamente los festivales es el mejor espacio para crecer todos juntos, ¿no? Los festivales es ese espacio de la formación de la audiencia también, ¿no? Vamos formando la audiencia de la comunidad en la medida van mejorando esa curaduría de las películas que se presentan en los festivales y de ahí todo el, digamos, la estructura que conlleva. Entonces, dentro de la asociación, me gustaría saber, ahora con el tema del COVID, cuáles son las medidas que el Estado de Belice ha tomado para con ustedes, la Asociación de la Industria Cinematográfica de Belice, para con el gremio de cine. ¿Cómo ustedes están manejando el hecho de que los cineastas no están teniendo la cantidad de trabajo que tenían antes a raíz de la pandemia?
Yeah. So the government has really seen the huge impact. A lot of people, like you're saying, a lot of people don't have jobs. They don't. The COVID has seriously affected them. So there has been some effort to try and provide some monetary finance to people who have lost their jobs, who have been seriously affected by COVID. The government has tried to provide not a lot, but at least some money, every week to some people who sign up and who are affected. There's a portal that they go and log into and sign up and try to get on the list of money that's trying to, that is sent out by the government. In terms of working with the Belize Film Commission, that's I guess, the regulator, the person in charge of giving out the permits for a film permit. For somebody from outside to come and shoot in Belize, they require a film permit. So the film commission is in charge of that. So we work hand in hand with them. When they get people from outside that want to come and shoot, they give out, like, say, okay, these are our people that are doing film in Belize. These are our list of our fixers. Get in touch with them and, see what you can do. And then they themselves are tasked with trying to bring productions to Belize. So they travel to LA and attend shows and try to get people to come to produce productions in Belize. Like you're saying with COVID, everybody, I mean, I had a production that I was going to work with a friend of mine who's also a fixer, Brent, that was shut down. I mean, COVID came and everything was shut down. The borders were shut down. The airport was shut down. So there was zero production happening. So a lot of people here had to change gears, switch gears, and look locally to see what's happening locally. What can I do locally now that the internal or the international has been shut down? How can I make something happen locally? And that's where one of the things that I switched to was, the conversion, just trying to get old people's old tapes converted digitally, which is something I realized they needed, that they wanted, and, they were willing to pay for it. And I got a letter, well, a little note today from one person that I did it. It was a tape that was shot in 1985. It was their wedding, and they hadn't seen it in a lot of years, in many years. But it was touching that they wrote back and said they were so grateful that they could watch this tape that was shot from 30 something years ago, and
Wow.
and reminisce and share it with their children who have never seen this tape, who have never seen the
Wow.
people on the tape. It was touching. It was touching that
It's so
you
valuable.
yes, very valuable, highly valuable, just sentimental value to the person that we did this for. And if COVID didn't come, I wouldn't have thought of trying to do this. So there's some good that comes from COVID. It's not all bad. It forces us to think outside the box. It forces us to find solutions to problems that we have. So that's one of the good that came a bit from it.
Ya, también quería saber cuál es el estado de ánimo que hay a nivel de los cineastas allí, los y las cineastas de Belice. Hay un espíritu esperanzador, hay un espíritu desmoralizado. ¿Cómo sientes a tus compañeros y compañeras a nivel de ánimo?
Yeah, no, they're definitely affected. A lot of people had things in the pipeline that they were planning to do and shoot, and a lot of it got thrown, out the door, out the window. We do have to work with each other to try and build each other, to be there for each other. Sometimes it's just as simple as a call. How are you doing? How are things going? Is there
Yeah.
something I can help you with? Is there something that we can work on together? Sometimes it's just to be there to talk. It's just that camaraderie that you have with your fellow people in your industry. So it has forced us to rely on each other more. It's changed everything. So you are drawn to calling somebody and say, how's it going? How can I help you? What's happening? What is there an equipment you need? Is there something you need to rent? I have more time on my hands now. Can I help you with a project that you're working on? Maybe earlier I wouldn't have had the time. I wouldn't have been able to, but now I'm free a lot more now. So let's work on that little project. We had this that we wanted to do a long time ago. Let's get it done. Let's shoot this little short that we wanted to do. So a lot of that's been happening. I hope we have time to do it, actually get it done this time, because I worked with my friends. I worked with my friends. We started shooting a short. Wow, it's almost like 6 years ago, and we never finished it. We still have the tapes. But it's things like that you like have time now to look back on. It's no longer the busy, the work, the making the money. It's now more, yes, we need to survive, but there are these little projects that have been pending that we now have time for.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. Yes, some of our people are definitely feeling the pinch. That will not lie. A lot of our people are feeling the pinch, but it's forcing us to be there for each other.
¿Y qué están haciendo a nivel de la asociación? Porque ¿ustedes en qué etapa del COVID están? ¿Están en la repunte del virus o ya están venciendo un poco la curva? Porque lo que me gustaría saber después es cuáles son estas medidas, digamos, cuáles son el protocolo de seguridad que están pensando tomar en cuenta para retomar progresivamente el rodaje en lo sucesivo.
So the Film Commission is working again with protocols that have been established, probably in Hollywood, from the PGA and other bigger institutions that are going to try and institute here in Belize for us. So we're going to be following the guidelines that are set up by more or less the American standards, the safety standards that they set. Those are the standards that we're going to be working with here in Belize for working on productions, for sets, and for everything. You name it, the 9 yards. It's whatever it is they have there. We're gonna try and follow and duplicate and maybe tweak here and there to make it our own, but more or less use their standards for production here in Belize. Locally, people try to follow the rules locally. The health authority has a lot of restrictions. As it is right now, certain parts of our country are on complete lockdown. There are some areas where nothing is allowed in or out. We went through our first wave, and we are now on our second wave, which is way worse than our first wave. I think our first wave we only had up to like 10 or less, but now on our second wave we're I think over 500 cases.
Okay.
So the second wave really hit us really hard. But we were hit so hard on the first time, and we completely did a shutdown. The whole country went on a complete lockdown, and it completely devastated the economy. I mean, we have an economy here in Belize that 40% of it is pretty much based on tourism. You know, we have flights in and out. We have cruise ships, sometimes 4 or 5 cruise ships parked out in the harbor, and like 40% of our revenue was cut overnight. So you could imagine the devastating effect that that had and is having on a huge part of our population. But what we need them to understand is the film industry will not ever like really completely take care of that, cover that, fill that gap, but it can provide something. The industry does have income earning potential for the country. People that come in, sometimes if it's a full feature film, that's sometimes 50, sometimes 100 jobs for people, sometimes for a month, for 2 months. There's a lot of income potential there for the country, especially during these times, that people can earn from, can earn a living. So it is definitely incumbent on the association and the film commission to try to lobby the government to realize, look, other countries are doing production. They are doing it safely. They have put in the regulations and the protocols to make it
Yeah,
possible to work. The virus
yeah.
isn't going anywhere. We
In
need to learn
Dominican
to work.
Republic, yeah, right now in Dominican Republic they do like that. Ellos están poniendo los protocolos requerentes a disposición, tomando todas las medidas necesarias y hay que poner una semana de cuarentena antes de antes del rodaje, hacer lo que sea necesario hacer para retomar, claro. Eso es lo que hay que analizar, los lugares donde ya se han activado y que ver, analizar cuál ha sido su rendimiento, ¿no? Y cuáles han sido los puntos negativos para entonces tomarlo en consideración.
Exactly. Learning from the people that have already, had to open. People that are realize, look, that we can't stay shut down forever. We need to get the engine moving. We need to start generating income. We need to get the industry back on its feet. So no, 100% agree with you. We need to learn from these people, implement what we need to implement, and get working, get producing.
Yeah.
Start generating income. We can't close forever.
Yeah, exactly. ¿Tienen ustedes una ley de cine? Porque ya que hablaba de el caso de la República Dominicana, y es que en 10 años, nada más, la ley de cine ha mostrado que ha sido un éxito total, porque apenas en el 2010 fue promulgada la ley y puesta en vigencia en el 2011. Y digamos, desde el 2011, ahora en 8 años, la cantidad de puestos de trabajo son centenares de puestos de trabajo que se han generado. La activación de la industria como tal, como esa maquinaria, que no se puede llamar industria, pero sí que están forjándose las bases que den nacimiento a tal industria en la República Dominicana, sí, porque de hacer una película o dos, cuando se hacían 2 películas al año, eso era fiesta nacional, porque era un logro, ¡wow! ¡Logramos 2! ¡Wow! Y después de la ley de cine se hacen 20, 25 películas. De hecho, se tienen que regular por la cantidad de equipos, si no se podrían hacer mucho más. Es porque la formación ahora tiene que subir para tener la cantidad de equipos necesarios que puedan llevar durante los 12 meses, que puedan acompañar una cantidad mayor de 24. Entonces, en ese sentido, que estas experiencias de la región han demostrado la eficacia de una ley de cine en la que, valiéndose de una excepción de impuestos, se puede de alguna manera impulsar una industria tan importante como es el cine y con toda la cantidad de puestos de trabajo que eso implica. ¿Tiene Belice una ley de cine? Y si sí, ¿cuándo fue creada?
Okay, so the short answer is no, not yet. It would be great for our leaders to have that vision, to be able to see what has happened in the Dominican Republic, to see the huge growth, like you have said, in that industry, how much it has brought to your country, how much it has increased, your revenue for your country. That one industry, somebody in your country had the foresight, was able to see, this is something that we can invest in. All we need to do is put the infrastructure in place, create the law, set up the incentives, and people will come. And they did. And it's a huge success that I think a lot of people in the region can learn from. We are working right now, along with the Film Commission, to set up a film legislation here in Belize. So it is in process. It is definitely working a little slow, but we're getting there. We're putting the legislation together.
Este es el mejor momento, porque sobre todo para reactivar la economía una vez que pasemos ya de la pandemia, la ley de cine lo que va a hacer es aumentar exponencialmente todo lo que conocen con relativo al cine, se lo va a elevar a una enésima potencia, porque se activa de verdad la economía de una manera que hay ejemplos en la región que basta con... Y muy bien, como dices, que yo he detectado que muchas veces es que los gobiernos de los países no detectan cuál es el beneficio que puede quedar para el país de tener una exención de impuestos, por ejemplo, de 25%, donde de los impuestos total yo invierto 25% en digamos, el fomento de la industria de cine, que a 10 años, te digo, te muestra demuestra los beneficios son tangibles, son palpables. Entonces hace falta como que los gobiernos lo vean, porque sobre todo es que activa la cultura de una manera que permite una visibilidad mayor del país, que permite que se conozca esa cultura de ese país de una manera, de la misma manera como, no sé, las producciones hollywoodenses van mucho a Belice a hacer películas porque las locaciones son paradisíacas y que son afines a lo que quieren rodar, pues de esa misma manera puede hacer crecer la propia industria nacional, ¿no?
No, I agree with you. We'll try our best, and I think the people, again, our government, people in the power to create these legislations, really need to, like you say, you need to look at, especially at the Dominican Republic, because they have a huge success with this. It is really, again, working with the Film Commission, the association. We need to have a sit down with the people who are in authority, who are in charge of culture, who are in charge of making the laws, who are in charge of the economics, to sit everybody together and show them this is what is possible. And in, like you say, in only 8 years, you guys have grown from doing 2 movies a year to sometimes 20. That you could imagine how that would benefit a small economy, a small country like Belize. We know that, but
Yeah.
people in the industry understand how much impact a really vibrant film industry can have on the population on a whole, because it's not just the people who are in the industry that are going to benefit, it's everybody. People for hotels, people who rent cars, people who do the catering. There's a huge number of people involved in a film, and who share in that piece of the pie when money, foreign currency, comes into your country. It's a direct investment of foreign capital for a very short period of time. And like
Exactly.
you say, if 2 or 3, if we had the right laws with the right incentives in place, it would be a huge attraction for these people to come to Belize and to bring that investment and to build our industry in Belize. It is something that we dream of and we're working towards, and we think that it definitely will happen. And like you're saying, now is the perfect time to do something. Now is the perfect time to get the legislation passed, so that when things die down and people are ready to go again, we are also ready to go again. And we are ready to say, look, our incentive package is in place. Come to Belize and do your productions. Bring your money here. We're willing to work with you. That would be amazing. And I think it's something we need to work together. I 100% agree with you.
Amazing. Me gustaría saber en qué proyectos estás. Lo dijiste al principio, pero ya para irnos relajando, que va terminando la entrevista en estos últimos 5 minutos. Sí, ya pasa rápido el tiempo, y sobre todo cuando el diálogo está bueno. Me gustaría saber cuáles son los proyectos que tienes actualmente, cómo tú estás sobreviviendo actualmente, tú como cineasta latinoamericano.
So, how we're trying to survive right now in this industry is being creative, thinking outside the box, and looking now internally instead of waiting for production from outside. During this lockdown period, we look internally, find the little things here and there, even if it's something like graduations. This year, a lot of people were affected in terms of graduations. So we worked with a school here to provide photography and video and to help them create that graduation video and put things out for them. We worked with schools that wanted to do their orientation. We provided live streaming of different services for them so they could reach their students and their parents. So do a lot of changing around of things, and find a way to make it work, to make a living right now during this time here in Belize. Like you said, there's a project that is right now a huge possibility for us. And like the person I'm working with said, this is one first one, but we could have 2 in the pipeline. That if this first one goes well, we'll have 2 or 3 other projects lined up come, into the region. We're working with Guatemala and Belize in this particular one. It could be action with, and we can build it from there. For now, we'll just be trying to get that production into the doing it safely and securely for everyone involved, both for the people coming, for the people here in Belize. But there's a way to do it. Like you're saying, the protocols have been set up. There are people working in all over the world. It's up and running again.
Right.
So, yeah, no, it's there and it's needed. We need that income. We need jobs. We need people to be working.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. Javier, nos va quedando tiempo para una sola pregunta. Te voy dando las gracias infinitas por este lindo conversatorio. Creo que si las autoridades de Belice nos están escuchando, les estamos ofreciendo, más bien les estás ofreciendo una propuesta que es brillante, que cualquier país debería considerarla si es lo mínimamente sabio y que quiere, digamos, hacer avanzar su economía. La última pregunta es, ¿qué tendrías para decirle, Javier, a los jóvenes de Latinoamérica que van ahora, que siguen soñando con hacer cine y que van a hacer cine post-pandemia?
Yes, to the youths.
Jóvenes que esperanzados, claro. Yep.
Yeah. I would like to tell the youths who are interested, in this amazing industry. For me, I really enjoy doing it. I would tell them to produce more. That's one of the things I wish that I need to do more. I work on a lot of projects, but all of it goes outside. Not a lot of people get to see the final work here in Belize, whether it's behind the camera or whether it's in production. All of it gets sent out. People come in, we work, and it's gone. So people here locally don't ever get to see them. But we need to produce more. We need the young people to start telling the stories, our stories. And this was me, because I'll say this from experience. I always use the excuse, I don't have the best camera, and I don't have the best equipment. I don't have the latest video editing software. I was always finding excuse as to why I was not producing. And I want them to not fall into that trap. I want to have them, to push them to really and truly, please, I'm begging you, just produce. It doesn't matter if it's with your iPhone. It doesn't matter if it's with a very tiny video camera. That doesn't matter. The technology doesn't matter. What's important is the story. What is important is you practicing and doing it and getting it out there. And that would be my message to the younger people coming up. Just produce. Just do it. Just shoot. Whatever it is. Well, however small or long it is, do it. I wish I did. But you have the chance now to do it. And I encourage you. I implore you. Just shoot. Do it.
Oh my God, that was powerful, Javier. Absolutely right. I agree with you. Es absolutamente la actitud que hay que tener de lanzarse a realizar, sobre todo que ahora, después de la pandemia, tenemos todo un lenguaje que definir y descubrir.
Yeah, definitely.
Exacto. Entonces, a mí nos habían dicho que teníamos una hora de entrevista. Nosotros hemos llegado a la hora. Joaquín estaba por ahí en backstage y de repente hace aparición.
Yo siempre entro en este momento para platicar un poco con ustedes, hacer una especie de conclusiones o reflexiones. La plática de hoy ha estado muy buena, llenísima de mucha energía, ¿verdad? Como acabas de decir, este último comentario de Javier también, o sea, esa es la actitud, eso es lo que tenemos que hacer, salir a grabar, ¿verdad? Hay algunos temas que me gustaría repasar y es es tal vez esta de conexión que hay entre Belice y el centro y el resto de los países de la región, ¿verdad? Eh, y creo que tiene que ver un poco con la industria de los servicios. Creo que Belice es conocida por un país que ofrece locaciones, que ofrece gente con capacidades para trabajar en producciones grandes, o sea, gente con muchas habilidades profesionales, pero no es un país conocido por tener autores, digamos, gente que está haciendo sus propias películas, ¿verdad? Entonces, cuando uno piensa en Belice, piensa en servicios de producción, film commission, pero creo que tenemos que empezar a pensar en las historias beliceñas, en los autores beliceños, ¿verdad? Porque yo tal vez puedo decir, sí, claro, hay 2 o 3 películas históricas, famosas que se han hecho en Belice, pero es muy difícil para mí hablar de un autor beliceño, ¿verdad? Y entonces, un poco jugando al abogado del diablo, cuando se refiere a la ley de cine y como a fomentar un país para que sea un espacio donde producciones extranjeras vienen, creo que se corre el riesgo de convertirse en una industria puramente de servicios, ¿no? Donde somos asistentes, cargamos las cosas, aprendemos un montón y tenemos trabajo, pero difícilmente nos convertimos en los personajes de nuestras propias historias. Y creo que lo decías, Javier, decías, it's time to tell our own stories, not just people come and tell our stories or use our space as a location. Hay un caso muy particular que es el de Piratas del Caribe, y hay un fenómeno que se llama Piratas del Caribe, y es que cuando se grabaron la saga de Piratas del Caribe, grabaron creo que 5 películas por $600 millones en Guadalupe y en, Santa Cruz, en Saint Croix, ¿verdad? Y en la película nadie nunca dice estamos en Santa Cruz o en Guadalupe. Estamos en el Caribe, en un lugar en el Caribe, ¿no? Y entonces eso también es un riesgo en cuanto a la identidad, digamos, de estos países que se están usando las locaciones para contar un lugar y una historia que pasa en la mente de Hollywood, pero no es propia, ¿verdad? Estoy completamente de acuerdo que el caso de Dominicana es un caso muy exitoso. O sea, hay de películas grandes a películas chiquitas que se meten, documentales, están pasando cosas muy interesantes. Pero creo que siempre hay que tener como estas como alarmas prendidas, ¿verdad? De también direccionar la industria hacia una industria propia. Yo, Javier, te digo, hay muchísimo trabajo que hacer entre Belice y Centroamérica. En Guatemala estamos en un proceso de ley de cine muy largo, pero como hemos aprendido mucho, el ejemplo dominicano nos sirvió mucho hace 10 años y seguimos, y creo que deberíamos de trabajar juntos en ver cómo regionalmente empezamos a presionar a los gobiernos y a las autoridades a que piensen un poquito más allá, ¿verdad? Que salgan de step out of the box y puedan...
A mí se me ocurre que en nuestras asociaciones podríamos identificar cuáles son los países de los países miembros que no tengan ley de cine y que nosotros mismos podamos foguear y lanzarle las propuestas a nivel de comité, de representantes de cada asociación de cada país, porque eso da un peso de que, mira, a Belice le está preocupando que en Guatemala hay una ley de cine. Entonces, de alguna manera, a ellos les está preocupando algo que a nosotros nos debería preocupar. Eso dice mucho, ¿no? Y sobre todo, recaudando con ejemplos claros en tiempos precisos. Toda esa información está ahí, de la cantidad de puestos de trabajo que se han generado, la cantidad de gente que se ha formado después de la ley de cine, pero la ley de cine también va por la vía de la exención de impuestos de todas las compras y todas las importaciones que se hagan con relación al cine, dicho para construir desde los estudios hasta, vaya, todo lo que tenga que ver con el aparato que conforma el film boarding. Entonces, de alguna manera, yo creo que deberíamos, como muy bien dices, Joaquín, utilizar esta alianza que nos puede ayudar a ejercer un tipo de presión en nuestros países. Lo digo porque yo sé de dos ejemplos muy importantes. Por ejemplo, esto de Dominicana, yo estuve allí cuando de Colombia fue el abogado, el especialista de ley de cine que fue a aportar. Todo eso son ejemplos de cómo ya desde ya la ley de cine dominicana, que ha tenido éxito, no viene de la nada, sino ya ha tenido un espaldarazo de un país de la región, pero también conozco de que ellos mismos han hecho hicieron un simposio binacional con los de la Asociación de Cine de Haití, donde la Dirección General de Cine Dominicana ponía a la disposición de, digamos, la Asociación de Haití, bueno, su experiencia y además técnicos que pudieran también de alguna manera ayudarle en ese proceso. Y lo que yo he identificado es que la asociación me ha hecho saber como que todavía no encuentran la manera de hacerle saber a los políticos dónde está el beneficio para el país. Y a mí me parece que se puede replicar ese mismo ejemplo en todos los demás países, que es saber nosotros al momento de picharle a nuestros gobiernos, mostrarle primero, mira los beneficios, y que eso ha surgido ¿con qué? Bueno, con simplemente destinar un 25% de los impuestos que ya, bueno, lo primero es que tenemos que contar con un país que pague impuestos, que es el gran problema de Haití, que tenemos que empezar por ahí. Entonces, claro, esta alianza tenemos que aprovecharla para darnos entre nosotros, ver cómo podemos apoyarnos, porque yo creo que con esos números y teniendo una buena estrategia detrás y además una estrategia regional, no hay forma de que no nos escuchen, van a ir cayendo uno a uno de los países miembros.
100%.
Also, Javier, I would like to ask you about something that you mentioned. You mentioned that Belize has filmmakers in England, in Hollywood,
Right.
and a subject that really interests us in Agacine for a very probable next project would be the diáspora. La diáspora centroamericana y caribeña alrededor del mundo, y usar esa fortaleza que tenemos los centroamericanos y los caribeños creo que, digamos, hay más guatemaltecos en Chicago que en la segunda ciudad más grande de Guatemala. Entonces, eso realmente es una fortaleza, y tener a gente de Belice en Inglaterra, en Estados Unidos y probablemente en otras partes del mundo. John es un claro ejemplo de eso, es un haitiano que trabajó en Dominicana, que ahora vive en Montreal, ¿verdad?
Claro.
Quisiera abordar ese tema y saber, just to know what you think about these filmmakers that are around the world that could potentially become an important asset to Belizean industry.
No, definitely. As the association, we see that again as a huge benefit for us. We see that as something that we, the association, and the country can benefit from. These people are out there; they are professionals in their fields, in the mainstream, in Hollywood, in England, and we simply need to reach out to them, to reach out to those that we know of, and we will learn eventually of those that we might not even know of, who are working and are willing to partake and to build the industry here, to share what they have learned, share their knowledge of the industry. And that's one of the things that currently the association here is working on. It's webinars with people like that who are professionals working in the industry, in the diaspora, and we're gonna have them give little words on the first one that's coming up is an AD. What is an AD? And what is the role of an AD? And it's going to be something as simple as, how do you break down a script? What is a script? What's a call sheet? How do you read a call sheet? So the little things, the simple little things that they know, that they can teach us. This is what we're going to start with here. So at the end of probably end of this month, we're going to do our first one with one of our people working in. He's going to be putting together web series for us on things like this, starting with an AD, because that's what he does, that's what he knows. So he's open to teaching what is an AD, and learning about scripts and learning about etiquette on the set and different things like that. So that we are pushing towards that.
Okay, I just think it's a great asset that you have in Belize to have so many people abroad, and it's somewhere to start. I also like to mention that the first workshop that Agacine made, our association made with the group of people I'm working with, was a workshop on AD, how to be an AD, what is an AD, because it's a key player in this industry. He is the most important person on set, and I think it's a great way to start. I would like to just also go back on certain things that you mentioned. You mentioned a film that you worked on for 3 months. I think in these countries, a lot of time, one film is the best school to start an industry. Here in Guatemala, we've also had a few films that are key to the to the historical transition from just us people doing things to people actually taking interest in and going outside to schools, and it's a great starting point.
Exactly.
Also,
I would like to hear this film in Belize. Which one? Si decimos After Storm.
Yes, it was called After the Storm. It had people like Amanda Sante, Benjamin Bratt, and some pretty good names in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. You also said that when the industry shut down, you had to look locally, and you said also that we have to be there for each other.
Yes.
And I think that's a great lesson in times of COVID, but also from now on, that's something that we have to think about, because living off big productions from other countries or living off tourism also is very, how do you say, fragile. And so we have to have a robust internal industry, because anything can happen and we have to depend on each other. So I think it's a great lesson.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And then, and one last thing. You also mentioned that you started making film in the 90s with VHS and everything. And I think the democratization of video, of film, is something that affected our generation very powerfully. We didn't have to go to school necessarily to see video, but we just had it in our hands suddenly from somebody who had it in their house, and that is something that I think unites Central America and the Caribbean. We all became filmmakers, or these countries started filmmaking around the same time in the 90s.
Right.
But because of something that is based on technology, which is digital video, and so we all started, I think, without school, but just doing it, and that is something that is there for all of us, and hopefully unites us and takes us towards the same place.
No, you can. We definitely encourage people to go to school. There's a lot that you can learn in the formal education, but there's also a lot you can learn hands-on on a set.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just an idea to close off is something that John mentioned. He said that festivals are very important in an industry because they can be a place of formación, exhibición, and industry. So I definitely encourage all the countries and also ourselves in Guatemala to take festivals very seriously, because there is where people can come together, meet each other, talk about projects, but also take workshops, see films, project their own films. So I was really
aparte que es nuestro mercado que es como el punto central, el mercado. Sin embargo, el aspecto de la formación, porque hay una frase que dice que ver buenas películas mejora nuestra calidad de vida. Entonces, en los festivales va mejorando nuestra calidad de vida progresivamente por encima de las posibilidades de las películas que se ven en el cine, los blockbusters y esas cosas.
Es la bolsa de valores de las películas. Si una película sale en un festival, la gente la ve y tiene buenas críticas, va a estar en las salas de cine, ¿no? Eleva el valor. El festival de cine eleva el valor de la película y la gente que trabajó en esa película.
No, definitely. I was involved in the film festival here in Belize from its early onset. So for years, I've been volunteering. Every days when it wasn't making any money at all, I was, out of my pocket to do several different things. But I saw the value in a festival. I saw exactly what you were saying. It brings young people in to see things that they would never otherwise ever get to see, and stories. See the people around us. See the people around the world. Listen to stories that would never be told otherwise on the big screen. And like you're saying, you learn. You never know. The next big director might come from somebody just sitting down, a child sitting down and watching one of these films in the festival. And one of the things the festival here tried to do was to take the festival to the different communities. Setting up, personally, I did it. I went, I set up projectors, set up the screen, made sure we have two little speakers, and it was in a park. And we just showed these films, and the people came out. These kids, you see their eyes light up when they see the big screen come on, and they see somebody that looks like them, and they hear something in Spanish, and it's amazing, different from what they're used to in terms of the blockbuster and all the other big name movies. It's not the same. It's different. Seeing a documentary, seeing. Yeah, sí, I know
sí.
It is. It's
ahora pienso en la experiencia del Toro, el director de Shape of Water que ganó el Oscar, ¿no? Película extranjera. Pues esa película, él cuenta en una entrevista que él decide hacerla porque en un festival, no sé si en Miami o en México, él está así como en una pausa, se encuentra con la actriz que va a protagonizar la película, que él, cuando empieza a hablar con ella, él de repente le tocó las fibras del guión tal, el 300 número cuánto, y dijo, oh, esta mujer que yo andaba buscando que tuviera como un aspecto de mexicana, yo quiero que la protagonista que sea latina, pero tirando para mexicana. Entonces que cuando la vio, le recordó ese guión, cuando fue y buscó el guión, y el entrar en contacto le dio vida al proyecto y surgió el proyecto. En un festival así le encontró, ¡pum! Como mismo tú dices, ¿no, Joaquín? Se conectaron las piezas.
Exacto. Sí, hay tremendo potencial en la región, hay tremendo potencial en los festivales, en las asociaciones que ya tenemos y que estamos formando, la legislación, la formación, hay mucho que hacer y mucho pasando. Javier, yo te quiero agradecer muchísimo por haber participado en estos foros, ha sido muy disfrutable, muy enriquecedor, y ojalá esto solo sea el principio de algo mucho más grande, ¿verdad? Ojalá nos podamos inventar una clausura donde estamos todos los 16, 18, 19 cineastas platicando.
That's your job. You have to put that together.
Ajá. Bueno,
sí, nosotros los cineastas, cualquier excusa es buena para juntarnos a tomarnos una chela.
Sí. Falta conseguir un patrocinador regional de cerveza y ya estamos hechos.
Y listo. Le vendemos la marca, ¿eh? Mira, te vamos a mostrar a cada rato.
Salud a ambos. Salud. También te agradezco muchísimo, ha estado súper alegre. Yo me despido. Y bueno, seguimos con este proyecto.
Muchas gracias a vos y a la asociación y a las asociaciones de centros culturales de España. A Javier, gracias, mantengámonos en contacto porque ya sabemos, tenemos que seguir trabajando juntos, al igual como a Joaquín también. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Bueno, eso fue otro 9 países, 18 cineastas, muy bueno, muy alegre. Esto sigue, por supuesto que sigue. Mañana otra vez tenemos a Jean. Esta vez él va a ser entrevistado por Marcelo Quesada de Costa Rica, que ya lo conocieron. Pero Marcelo es fundador y codirector de Pacifica Grey, proyecto dedicado a la promoción, producción y distribución de cine independiente en Centroamérica. Desde sus empresas ha liderado el lanzamiento de más de 30 títulos a cargo de autores como Agnes Barda, Jim Jarmusch, Mateo Garrón, y ha sido productor de películas como Cascos Indomables, Lucía en el Limbo y Clara Sola. Trabaja como asesor independiente en diseño de audiencias, programación y formación en temas de industria, colaborando con instituciones como Torino Film Lab, Sinergia, Locarno Filmmakers Academy. Fue director artístico del Costa Rica Festival Internacional de Cine y Program Advisor del Festival IDFA en Holanda. Tanto Jean como Marcelo tienen un currículum impresionante. Realmente recomiendo que se conecten mañana, que escuchen lo que esta gente tiene que decir y que lo disfrutemos y nos divirtamos. Entonces, mañana a la misma hora en el mismo canal.